Welcome back, Bern.
Hello. Hello.
Such a pleasure always meeting with you on these circumstances, is it not?
Yes, when it's another MCU product and we're here to review it, it's just a great one. It's a great circumstance to be in.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, this is Bodacious Rant with Bern and Rye, and today we are going to talk about Black Widow, which finally came out. It feels like ages that it should have come out. Like
After the last 20 years, it's been teased.
Oh my god. Oh my, that's actually low-key kind of true. Yeah, like 2000, it's getting close to 20 years, but just because she first came out in like 2009 or 2010, whatever, Iron Man 2 came out, so.
Yeah, I'm exaggerating, but yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah. It's a long time coming, is needless to say, but. Yeah, so we finally got to see it. We went to go see it in Dolby, at AMC, which was a little, I was a little nervous at first because those trailers were running along each other. It was just so bad. It was like, no, please don't do this to the movie right now.
If theaters want us to stay going to the theaters, they need to get their shit together because I swear it was just like there was like little issues where it's like this shouldn't be a thing.
No, it shouldn't have been, but it's like, come on, we kind of paid for this. Like, why is this happening right now? Mm-hmm. But anyways, at least the movie went through fine for us. And yeah, was it everything I hoped it would be? Yeah, sort of. I still really liked it. I'm gonna say this right now. Let's start with the positives, Bern. We finally, it's nice seeing Natasha in her own movie. She looked great. The white suit was just so awesome. It was like almost like a stealth suit in the snow, but it wasn't. I don't know how to explain it. By the way, it was a great singer on her own. Solid action here and there. A kind of expansion on the character a little bit, just kind of getting her origin story, like seeing where she came from and how she got her start, how she got into the Avengers, and then the introduction of new characters, but they're kind of like past characters, but they're new for us, which was Florence Pugh's Yelena, who was deemed the youngest assassin in the world. David Harbour's hilarious interpretation of the Red Guardian, he was great. And Rachel Weisz as, oh my god, Melina, the matriarch of their, family, essentially. And This is a non-spoiler review, guys, so I'm trying to keep this as, light as possible, because this is definitely a movie that I do want you guys to see in the theaters. And yeah, actually, it was really crazy that they did drop it on Disney Plus super stealth. Like, I didn't know about it until people were telling me the next day that we saw it. Was like, yeah, you realize it's online at home, right? I was like, what? I thought they were only doing it in the theaters. Like, nope, it's on Disney Plus too, but you have to pay the premiere access fee, which is
the $30.
Yeah, but besides that, like I said, overall, I really liked it. My rating for this movie would be 3.5 out of 5 rantings, though.
Yeah, for sure. I'm like pretty much along those lines. For me, it's a 3 out of 5. It's a solid Marvel movie. I would say in terms of like where it would rank within my personal rankings of the Marvel universe, it would probably be like somewhere around the mid tier, along those lines of like the Phase 1, Phase 2 Marvel movies, which I think this falls along the lines and for many reasons where the story is pretty generic and fun, and unfortunately it does have the same issues as those movies do, which for the most part is the villains. The villains in this movie were a particular disappointment to me, and like I said, it just goes to show how good the villains have been lately. To where this one would have come out, say years ago, it probably wouldn't have been that big of a deal. But because it's come out when it has, it's kind of like it just feels like they took a step backwards in terms of that aspect. But yeah, for the positives, I do agree with you. I did like finally Natasha getting her own movie, but unfortunately she is kind of a side character in her own movie, so it is a little bit disappointing in that aspect. But it works so well because the side characters, especially like you said, Florence Pugh's Yelena Belova and David Harbour's Red Guardian, they're so great where they elevate the movie essentially.
Yeah, they were the MVPs of this movie, which is one of the things I had, and a perfect segue into the negatives, Bern. I appreciate that. Not negatives, but just the things that griped me a little bit.
Yeah.
My biggest problem was that didn't feel like Natasha's movie, even though it's supposed to be Black Widow, and that's a little sad that the writers couldn't really do anything to kind of elevate her outside of the MCU a little bit more than we already have. It's like we got to see the best version of her in Endgame, and I was kind of hoping we'd see more of that in this one, but it just kind of fell flat for me. And then yeah, the villains, I do agree, particularly one. I'm not going to say who, or just to spoil it, how they do it, how they kind of messed it up for me, but yeah, it just was also a little bit of a disappointment. And overall, I felt like, as much as I liked the action and seeing Black Widow fighting like soldiers and stuff like that, it was a little too quick. Even though the movie was paced very well, it's like they blew through the action way too quickly for me to really absorb it all. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it had the issues that I had with Iron Man 2, in particular with the action, where it felt like they were in a rush for the action scene to be over. I was just like, oh man, we were just kind of getting into it. And then add on to that the fact that a lot of the action was done with the whole shaky cam style, which is something that I absolutely despise, and I really had a hard time seeing what was going on in the action scene. So that was kind of a disappointment, because the choreography looked like it was great from what I could see. Mm-hmm. And that was the problem for me, where I was like, oh man, they really just again took a step back on that aspect too. And it just felt like like I've been saying for the past few minutes, where it's just like it's kind of just disappointing, where I feel like at this point we expect a little bit better from our Marvel movies. Not to say that this is a bad movie at all. Like again, it's a 3 out of 5 for me. But it just has those issues where I felt like we've kind of moved past this already, and I don't know why we're repeating these same things. It's like
Yeah, no, I mean, that's a fair point. At this point in the Marvel game, origin story or not, we kind of expect better writing at this point, mm-hmm. especially after Endgame and Spider-Man No Way Home. Oh, no, Far From Home. I'm sorry. No Way Home's coming out this year. But yeah, it's just, it was a little like, this is kind of day one stuff. Why is there more to this? Like, more so than it should have been. So mm-hmm. That's really all I gotta say about that one, to be honest.
Yeah, and the best thing you can say about Taskmaster is they were there. It's like, well, okay, Taskmaster was in it, and I'm kind of like, you can see there was a lot of similarities, or they tried to have a lot of similarities to the Winter Soldier, the second Captain America movie, with a lot of things, there being like, it's more like a spy thriller, it's a little bit more grounded. But it just felt like where those movies hit those beats really well, this one just kind of like stumbled through them, unfortunately.
Yeah, and like I said, I literally think just because they didn't know how to really write Natasha as the main hero. If anything, she was there to elevate the other characters, which is a little like, come on, she's an Avenger. Like, we should have treated her more like an Avenger. But besides that, this movie was still great. Definitely one of the better Marvel movies to see. And I honestly, these gripes, I don't think they would have hit as hard had this been not a Marvel movie. If this was like a regular like spy film or something like that, I think this would have been a lot better, and it would have worked a lot better on its own. But because there's, such history with these characters and stuff like that, and the greater universe, especially if because I know a little bit about like Taskmaster, the Red Room and stuff like that, I think it just, it kind of missed some of its marks. But had it not been Marvel, this would have been a lot better.
Yeah, I do kind of agree with that, because for me, at least the best parts, or the parts that worked absolutely well in this movie, were a lot of the interpersonal moments, not the action scenes, all the beats in between them. And like you said, it's paced so well, and on all of that that's going on in between those action set pieces is just characters talking to each other. And that's one of the things that I've really enjoyed about the Disney Plus series that we've gotten so far. It's just a lot of conversations happening, and a lot of like people getting into like their psychology of these characters. And with the cast and crew in this movie, I mean, it just works so well. Like you really feel the family dynamic going on between our main 4 characters. And I think they all work off each other really well, where you feel like there is a history with all of them, and there is a lot of this emotional baggage that goes into all of every conversation that they have. And those beats work so well for me. And again, that's just a credit to the writing in those sections, and then of course the acting in those sections too.
Yeah, I mean that is the one thing they did get right is like it kind of filled in some gaps of why Natasha is this way in certain movies, and we see that growth within Infinity War and Endgame from this movie a little bit. But yeah, like I said, Florence Pugh and David Harbour stole the show for me. They
Hmm.
were hilarious. They hit the marks right. It was so great seeing them. Like, oh, this is just a strong cast regardless. Even with my complaints, this was a great movie to watch. Definitely go check it out in theaters. Or if you don't feel like
Or watching
going,
this,
you
yeah.
want to yeah, or you want to get comfy at home, have your own little thing going on, just drop the $30 for it on Disney Plus because this is definitely one of those movies that's worth it for sure.
Yeah, whichever way you decide to watch it, I think everybody should watch it. I mean, at this point, like it's a Marvel property, and again, you're gonna get your enjoyment out of it. So this is definitely a good like 2 hours to use your time, and it's not definitely not a waste of time at all, and you're gonna have a good time with it for sure.
Absolutely. So, but this is like I said, this is a non-spoiler review, so we'll be dropping the spoiler review soon. So keep an ear out for that. And Burn, I will. I'll talk to you later, my dude.
All right, man. I'll see you on the spoiler section. We can dive deep into the conspiracy.
Absolutely. No, not the big auto one. We're not done. We're done with the big
No,
auto.
no, no, that one, no. I'm talking about the spy conspiracy. Yeah, they're all around us.
All right, dude. I'll talk to you later.
All right, man. I'll see you on the next one.